I know, what the fuck was I talking about? Science and stuff like that. Science should be an elective, because you need to be going into a specific field to actually know about that. But what the fuck is high school English? High school English, all I remember from high school English was just reviewing the same bullshit I learned in elementary school. Just with bigger words. Like, what? Why was I learning about synonyms and antonyms in both 4th and 12th grade? Why are you wasting my goddamn time? I can't even remember any time where I needed to know a synonym and an antonym in between that time or since. But no, school wants to teach you, wants you to review synonyms and antonyms for an entire semester instead of teaching you actual life skills. Why do I just walk into the real world being unable to file taxes? Why do I walk into the real world being unable to buy a house without having to grab my phone and be like, "Hey, Mom, how do you do this thing?" The fact that while filling out my stuff for YouTube, I had to ask my mother about things on the tax information slide pisses me off. I should have learned that in school. I shouldn't have to ask her that. And the fact that YouTube decides to screw with me, I've filled that crap out 4 times now. But that's a totally different thing. Why is science required? Like I said earlier, knowing the laws of physics is it's nice knowledge to have, but why is it more important than things you'll actually need? Unless you go into a scientific field in your future, you'll never need to know that. Why the hell do I need to know trigonometry? When have I've never once in my life used trigonometry. Even when I was in college studying astronautical engineering, I didn't use trigonometry. What the fuck is trigonometry? And why do they teach you that? And not how to buy a car? Not show you how to look up and keep track of your credit score? Real life lessons. You want to know what a high school requirement should be? Getting a passport. Because that's something you may actually need in your life. Even if you don't plan on traveling, it's just good to have. It doesn't teach you anything about getting a job, filling out job applications. Some schools have, classes that can teach you how to do that, but they're optional classes and not all schools have them. Those should be mandatory classes and all schools should have them. Why is it that you learn a bunch of useless bullshit that 90% of which you'll probably never use unless you go into a specific field in your future, when high school should be teaching you things you actually need? I'd say 50% of the things you do as an adult, you don't learn in school. You just have to figure that shit out. AKA call your parents and ask. And it's like why? And again, with the history. Genghis Khan. Yeah, cool. I don't need to know that, though. I don't live there. I never did live there. If I want to know that, I'll look it up myself. If I'm curious about another country's history, I'll do that research myself. Why am I required to learn it in school? The only history that should be required for me to know is the history of the country I fucking live in. Yes, U.S. history has ties to other countries, but I should only know the parts that matter to the United States. I don't give a rat's ass about how the pyramids of Egypt were made. I don't care. I don't need to care. And if I did care, I'd ask Google. I would do that fucking research on my own. Why are there like there are tech ed classes in schools, but again, those aren't required. Usually it's an elective that, that you can take. You're required to take an elective class, but they're optional. Like the classes themselves, you can choose between different classes. Tech ed, a lot of the things they teach you in tech ed you'll never need, but the concept of a technology class is good, especially in an age where technology runs the planet. It'd be nice to know how to fix a computer, right? Instead of having to waste your money and go to a repair shop and get it repaired that way. It'd be nice if there was a class, optional or not, that just taught you about that. Unfortunately, that's a college thing, but it shouldn't be. That should be a middle school thing. I should be learning how to repair a computer in middle school because I will need a computer no matter what you do. Even if you're a fucking construction worker, you will need to know how to work a computer. So you should know how to repair one. And like everyone's got cell phones now. It'd be nice to know how to fix a phone. I mean, you can't open half of them now. It's not like you can fix an iPhone 10. Can't open the damn thing. But I mean, the skill would still nice to have. Like there are so many things, like learning how to build certain pieces of furniture. There could be a class for that. You will need to do that at some point in your life when you buy a house. Something they don't teach you how to do. Just basic human needs. If I'm being honest with you, culinary should be a requirement. You should know how to fucking cook. Because you're going to need to make your own food. Most people don't make enough money to survive off of Chinese takeout. You should know how to cook some basic shit. At least 1 year of culinary should be a requirement in all schools. And for some schools it is, but not all of them. It makes no sense. It makes no sense that stuff like, physics or, freaking English. Like, English would be nice, but if they actually taught you anything you didn't already know. But instead of an English class, how about a different language? You're usually required to take a language anyway. Focus more time on that. Knowing another language isn't a requirement if you live in the United States for your entire life. But it's a much better skill to have than brushing up on your synonyms. I was much happier in my Spanish class than I was in English class because I wasn't learning anything I didn't already fucking know.
You only had funny in Spanish class because you was...
Shut up!
See, I was right.
And with English classes, they always pick the most boring books to choose from. Like... Let's read a Harry Potter book or something, Hunger Games, something interesting. Why am I sitting here reading Tequila Mockingbird?
It's tequila.
I understand. I know what it's called. I'm choosing to call it tequila because that's what I want to drown myself in when I open that fucking book. There's no purpose behind it. They're just like, oh, look at these big words from 100 years ago. Figure it out, douchebag. When am I going to need to know any of that? When am I going to need it? Is it good information to have? Sure, but it should be optional. I should want to do it, not have to do it. Things that you are not 100% going to encounter in your life should be optional in school. That's my point. School is filled with a bunch of required stuff that is almost worthless to 70% of people. And outright lacks things that 100% of people will need in their lives. And if I'm being honest, I learn more from movies, TV shows, and YouTube than I did throughout. Like, I can learn more in 10 minutes on YouTube than I did throughout all 4 years of high school. I can learn more important shit, that is.
Funny you say that about the YouTube thing. I still don't know how to edit a video.
Well, I mean, that's not really a requirement now, is it? That is something you just be like, hey, look it up. But I don't know. Just basic shit. Just basic shit that would be so good to know. Just nope. Figure it out, douchebag. It's whatever.